What's going on, everybody? It's Carmine from Barmine Tech, and today we got another video. We're going to go over some Docker stuff. We're going to go over the top 5 containers that I think you need in 2023. I know we're already 4 months into 2023, but I'm working on my Docker containers, so here we are. So we're going to go through the 5 containers that everybody needs to have in their home lab. So let's get right into it. So starting at number 1, the first container you definitely need in your home lab for your Docker environment is definitely Portainer. I've done a bunch of videos working with Portainer. Of course, I use the Pi self-hosted series. I use their app template for this because I love it how easy they make setting up Docker and Portainer in any environment you want. It makes it so easy to access and manage all your containers. You can easily see all your containers in a GUI instead of using the CLI. I can easily go through and see app templates to add which new Dockers I want. Ooh, there we go. They have a great list, and it's shown so nicely in Portainer that I can go through and I can see anything I want. I can easily go through and I can manage different parts of my Docker setup, whether I need to access the network. I can see all the old images for old containers that aren't being used anymore. We have events of different things that have happened in the environment. There's so many different options for management that I think Portainer is definitely one of the number 1 containers you need to have in your environment. And if you're trying to run Docker without Portainer, you've been doing it wrong, and you gotta try it out with Portainer. It's a must. It's the first thing you must do when you set up a Docker environment. The next Docker container that's definitely a must is Piehole. I've deployed Piehole through using Docker and Portainer. I have a video on it, so I'll definitely drop a link and maybe throw a card up in the corner. One of these videos I'll get that right. But Piehole is definitely a must to run in any network. You can see mine doesn't have any data right now. That's because I've actually been using Brave browser, and it looks like my Piehole needs an update. But Piehole is definitely one of those musts that you have in any home network. I've been using it for years, and I actually started running it originally off a Raspberry Pi. But with the Pi situation going on, I virtualized it, and I've been using Docker. Piehole is super easy to deploy on Docker with Portainer, and I've made videos about it before. There's so many different options for it, and it's so easy to deploy it virtually that it's great. And if I come over to the app template, there's actually multiple versions of it in here. So you could do Unbound, or you could do the DOH DOT version. Unbound's another really good option. I just never had enough interest in doing it. I always like the basic Piehole enough. But using Piehole through Docker and Portainer is a must. It's super simple to deploy and get set up in your environment. And even better is that Piehole helps you actively protect yourself, not only from ads, but you can say it's also filter out malicious links and other stuff like that. So you can protect everybody in your environment as well. And not only inside your house, but you can VPN back into your house and access Piehole. And that's going to bring us into the next container. So if you remember, another video of course I made was the WireGuard video, and it was how to set up your own WireGuard server with Docker, and of course it was with Portainer as well. Using the VPN is a must in the current day, and being able to access your home lab from outside your house is super important. Being able to set up this WireGuard server super easily was a must. If you're going to use a VPN, this is the easiest way to do it. The app template has the WireGuard server. It makes it super simple to deploy. Once you deploy the container and get it started, you have your client set up for your server. You just got to make a couple client accounts, and then you're set. And you can see I actually have 2 already running. Having WireGuard was such an easy method to deploy it, and running it off Docker made it even easier. You just had to click and deploy it. Open up the ports, and you're all set. You have your own VPN going. So that's why WireGuard makes it in the list of the top 5 containers you need to have in your environment. Next, for our containers that you need to have are Flame. Again, I made a video on Flame dashboard as well. If you're self-hosting any sort of services in your environment, having a nice dashboard to tie everything back together and be able to see what's what is great to have. By having this nice dashboard that tells me good morning, it has all the links to all my different services I host, so I don't need to remember the IPs or the ports, is great. I remember back in the beginning when I first started self-hosting, I was trying to memorize all my ports, and it just did not work. And then I would do bookmarks, and then you have a huge tab of bookmarks for every service. Just imagine if you host, look at just these alone. This would be a whole bookmark folder by itself, and it would look super messy, and it wouldn't be nice. Flame dashboard helps me organize everything and make it look super neat, and I get all the cool icons, and it makes it just very easy. And once again, with Portainer, it's even easier to deploy it. Just like all of our other containers, of course, Flame is in the app template. If you're not getting the ID here, everything that we have in this environment is based off the Pi hosted app template for Portainer, and that's why we're using all these. So of course, Flame is one of those containers you can deploy out of there. I have a video on it that goes over it. I'll have links to all the videos below because they're going to show you how to set up all these different things in your environment. Flame is super easy. There's other dashboard containers out there to help you self-host your own dashboard, but I think Flame is probably the best that I've used so far. If you're not using it, definitely check it out. It's super simple. It's very user-friendly to set up. It does a very neat job organizing all your stuff that you want to have on it, as well as any other links you might want to have. So instead of using the bookmarks bar up on the top, you can have your own homepage, have your bookmarks bar. So I have it for my school stuff. Definitely check out Flame. It's a must-have in your environment. To wrap up with the fifth container that I think is a must-have in any environment is the Samba container. Of course, again, all these containers are on the list, but the Samba container is also on the app template from Pi Self-Hosted, and I think it's a great one to have in. It doesn't give you a graphical interface, but it doesn't need it because of how simple it is. There is the Docker Compose on the Docker site, gives you all the information about it, but realistically what this is going to do, just like it's been in the video that I've made, it's going to give you your own NAS in a much simpler way. You can connect a drive to your machine, you format it, you set it up as you need, you set up the Docker container for Samba, you point it to the new drive, and then bam, now it's going to make it a Samba share. So I actually use this every day. I use it so I can access my school classes across my network, and it makes it very easy. So I can come in here and I have all my schoolwork, and I can access it whether I'm home, I'm at work, I'm at a different computer in my house, I'm working remote on my laptop and I'm VPN back in. I no longer need to share my files from machine to machine, and I don't need to depend on Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive or any other service there might be. This was something I implemented in school, and I've grown it to even this now, and it is so simple. I think it is a must for how easy it is to deploy, and for the benefit it gives you if you're constantly working with files and needing to share them across a network. So that was 5 containers that I think is a must-have in the network, but I think we're going to do one more just for an honorable mention, just because of how useful it can be after it gets configured the way you need it. So let's get right into it. Watchtower. So Watchtower is another one of those containers that it doesn't have a graphical interface, but it does a lot in the background once you get it set up. So if you're not familiar, Watchtower is a container that you can deploy, and it will work to automatically update all of your containers for you that you mark whether you want them updated or not. So there is a little bit of configuration of Watchtower. There's just a couple of tags you got to put in the Docker Compose of all your containers. But with it, when it cycles through, it'll automatically update all your containers you want. And it's super simple, especially if you have a larger Docker environment. Watchtower is in the app template. It's a quick, simple deploy. And once you do, it'll go through and it'll go and update all of your containers for you. If you work in an environment like me, I have about 28 containers. Probably about 20 of them are active. And to sit and go through every container and update it would take me quite a bit of time. So using Watchtower is super simple. I set it up the way I need it. It'll cycle through when it's ready. It'll update all my containers for me. It'll bring everything back online. And now all my Docker containers are up to date and ready to be used with the latest version. For me, it's super helpful for some more of my basic containers. Some of the more specific ones that I need to work, like my VPNs and my Piehole DNS server, I'll leave those to be manually updated. But for some of my stuff in the background, like speed test or snippet bots, maybe Tatuli or Ombi, when they have an update available, I'm going to want to update it, and it'll be a lot easier for Watchtower to do it than me have to sit through and update all these containers for 5, 10, 15 minutes, as long as it might take. Having Watchtower to do it on a Saturday morning when it's ready to do it, super simple, and I'll do that every time instead of me having to take my time to do it. So this was the top 5 plus 1 honorable mention of Docker containers that you need to have in your environment. I have videos for a bunch of these different containers in my channel, and I actually have a series about them that we've been setting up with Docker in the beginning. So make sure you check out those videos if you don't have any of these containers set up already, like Piehole, Portainer, Flame, WireGuard. They're super simple containers to deploy, and they benefit you extremely. I use them every day, and it just makes life so much easier, and it's only going to help you have a better Docker environment. So I hope you guys like this video. These are definitely useful ones, and there's way more. So maybe we'll follow this up at the end of the year, and we'll have 5 more Docker containers to finish the year out with. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the content I keep dropping, because we're going to keep working on more budget home lab stuff, and there's definitely more projects in the works. So stick around. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.